Hello and welcome to coverage of Grins Gore for the custom standard format. I'm Caillou, and today we're going to be watching the semifinals match between Seismic, who's playing blue-red colorless full automation, and Plipster, who's playing Jund Mutants. So Plipster's going to tap out turn 2 for a gene-shifted Warbler? No, a switch flit. So this is one of the high roll cards in Plipster's deck. It can obviously hit some of the smaller creatures as well, which is not super great. But at best, it can connect into an Anku, which essentially locks your opponent out of the game turn 3. And Seismic does not have a blocker for the switch flit, instead running out of currency to get some ramp in. So Plipster does get to hit in with a switch flit. Oh, and hits a Gene Gorger, which unfortunately now either needs to bounce itself or a land. So probably gonna bounce the mountain, I'd think. Yeah, and then just gonna keep the big 4/4. Yep, gonna replay the mountain. And has a gene shifted Warbler, so let's see what else Plipster's gonna hit here. And oh my god, another switch flit. Gonna mill out a hired hit, another gene shifted Warbler, and a land. But yeah, because Seismic's deck is based around like lots of expensive creatures, does have Cyber Savants to act as blockers, but if Seismic doesn't hit one of those real soon, could definitely get hit with Switch Flit number 2. And even without Switch Flit number 2, Seismic's on a 3-turn clock to this Gene Gorger plus Gene Shifted Warbler. So Seismic's going to run out a Liminal Observer. So this blocks a Gene Shifted Warbler very well. Trades with a Gene Gorger, but I think Seismic will likely just take the 4 from Gene Gorger and let Liminal draw him more cards. So yeah, Plipster's going to swing in with the Gene Gorger. And Seismic is going to block, interestingly enough. That kind of signals that to me that Seismic has more Liminal Observers in hand, especially since Seismic needs something to block this switch flit. So currently has access to 5 mana. And doesn't play anything? Maybe has a hired hit for the switch flit, but I don't know if you're gonna swing in with both. And has an Incandescent Rain. So gonna kill both the switch flit and the Gene Shifted Warbler. Main 2, Plipster has another Gene Shifted Warbler, gonna keep up this card advantage train. And this time hits a Lab Wrecker. Much stronger hit than anything Plipster's gotten before. This is one of the key cards in Plipster's deck. Can now use this to start blowing up Seismic's lands. Is it a little too... and switch flit number 3? Wow. Really putting the pressure on Seismic. But I think the question is, if Seismic gets to 6 mana next turn, Seismic can either full automation or could even have Witch Kite to 1-turn kill Plipster. That's a 6 land, that's Fractured Remnant. And it's going to run out of Shimmering Dune Kite. Now the question is, does he have the Witch of Shifting Waters to make this lethal? Plipster is tapped out, so can't interact if so. It seems not. Seismic's just going to hard cast this, going to swing in with the Shimmering Dune Kite haste token for 4. And then I guess Shimmering Dune Kite can effectively block the switch flit. Plipster could have a hired hit for the Dune Kite though, and then go immediately into switch flit. So Plipster going to run out a Garden Grafter. I guess is just trying to find answers at this point. I'm definitely a little surprised because I thought that, or I guess it was digging for a hired hit, because I thought that Plipster would run out a Lab Wrecker here, but I guess the Garden Grafter play is good, because if you find a hired hit off of the upload, you just play a land, get back hired hit, cast it off Dangerous Territory, and then high roll with the switch flit. So you're going to play the Dangerous Territory, use Garden Grafter's ability to download the uploaded Garden Grafter, and then just has to pass for now, yep. Interestingly, Seismic can't really attack with the Dune Kite if he wants to stay safe from the switch flit. But I think letting the game draw on does benefit Seismic more than it does Plipster because of how explosive some of Seismic's, how all of Seismic's top end threats are. Though of course, if Plipster starts dropping Lab Wreckers and blowing up Seismic's lands, that could be a problem. Another 5 mana play. This time it's going to be the other dragon, Mecha Dragon, coming out. Gonna sack the treasure to give it haste. Oh, and I forgot. Shimmering Dune Kite does make a hasty copy of it. So yeah, it is gonna sack the treasure, give the other Mecha Dragon haste. He's going to swing in for a whopping 10 damage this turn. Oh no, he's going to swing with everything. Going to put Plipster down to 2. I almost think that this is a mistake, because either way you're killing Plipster next turn. So I would have kept Dunekite. I would have attacked with Dunekite and the Mecha Dragon copy, kept up Mecha Dragon as a blocker for the Switch Flit because it can't be killed by the hired hit, and then that way you can block this Switch Flit. Yeah, Plipster's gonna attack in with everything. Let's see what he hits. And it hits a Mercy. Does not have haste, so can't actually pod anything this turn. I don't know that Plipster has the answers here to stop. Can kill the Mecha Dragon with the Lab Wrecker, which actually might have been why Seismic decided to swing in with everything, because he knew the Mecha Dragon would not survive the turn. But yeah, even if Plipster blows up the Mecha Dragon, Seismic just swings in with the Shimmering Dunekite. So Plipster both needs a hired hit and his Lab Wrecker right here, which, given that he didn't just hired hit the Shimmering Dunekite last turn, I think is an unlikely card for him to have. And yep, Plipster's just going to concede. We're going to game 2. So looking at sideboards here, Eradicator Engine might not be bad because it's another early blocker, and for the most part, Plipster is going to have the lowest CMC cards on the battlefield because of all of his 2-drops. The Incandescent Rains probably don't hurt. I could see bringing in Incandescent Rain, Essence Scatters. Like, I don't know how reactive Seismic wants to play this matchup. But I think that Incandescent Rains and Sand Scalds probably are worth, and then you probably take out 1 or 2 of the Find of the Lifetimes, because you don't need to go that much over Plipster. As long as you survive the early game, there's a very small chance that you're losing. And yeah, I think the Blitz suits are a little bit too cute, could take those out for interaction. So that would be my call. Blitz suits and some Find of a Lifetimes out for whatever interaction suite Seismic decides on, whether that's Eradicator Engines, Essence Scatters, Incandescent Range, or Sand Scald. Some split of those. Meanwhile, on Plipster's end, I don't know which of these creatures is likely to, or which of these cards is likely to help. I think, if anything, you bring in the Epic of Jabaya for sure. Blazing Offerings as a way to kill Mecha Dragon is probably attractive. And then you likely take out, I'd say, the Digital Witnesses, and then maybe some of the Gene Gorger, because the Gene Gorger seemed pretty awful. So I'd say Gene Gorger, Digital Witness out for Epic of Jabaya, 2-3 Blazing Offerings. That sounds about right to me. Okay, getting into game 2, both players once again opening up with their respective Araloo tap lands. And Plipster this time does not have a turn 2 play. Just has another Dangerous Territory. But fortunately, Seismic as well doesn't have a turn 2 play. Just going to respond to tap land with another tap land. And got a 3rd tap land in a row for Plipster. This is a very slow hand. But right as I say that, has the Switch Flit. Does Seismic have the Sandscald or Cyber Savant to deal with this? And there's the sideboard Sandscald. Yup, that Switch Flit is not resolving. So Seismic stays safe from Anku for another turn, but is not safe from the Lab Wrecker. Gonna blow up likely one of the 2 blue-red lands and put Seismic far behind in this match. Yeah, Ciso Cliff's gonna die. And next turn, Plipster can crack this Draconic Crevice and start putting some crazy early pressure on Seismic. Actually, he's just going to swing in with the Lab Wrecker. Does Plipster not have a 4th land for the Draconic Crevice, or just has more cards that he wants to run out in hand first? So going to run out the Gene Shifted Warbler, hitting a Mercy. If Plipster has 3-drops, can Mercy into more Lab Wreckers, but actually, as it is, Mercy threatens to you Mercy Lab Wrecker into Amphin Vigilante, untap Mercy, and then pod the Amphin Vigilante into an Anku. Seismic Lawns has a Lab Wrecker of his own. Gonna shoot the Draconic Crevice, which makes sense, but this does not stop Mercy from chaining into Anku, and I think at that point that just ends the game. So yep, gonna pod the Lab Wrecker, Grabbing the Amphin Vigilante, this untaps Mercy. Pod number 2. And here comes Anku. A hasty Anku, so Seismic is going to lose both the land and the Lab Wrecker. And at this point is on like a 2-turn clock. I don't think there's any way for Seismic to deal with this. I don't think he has any answers to this Anku, especially not when he's getting a land blown up each turn. I'm pretty sure this is just game. And yep, Seismic is going to concede on the spot. And yeah, that's how the Mutants deck does work. You just land that Lab Wrecker to get some resource denial, and you set yourself up for the Anku pod. And then at that point, your opponent basically just is locked out of playing the game. So we're going to a game 3. It's interesting to see that Seismic brought in his own Lab Wreckers as kind of like resource denial to match your resource denial, but I'm not sure how effective it's gonna be. So this time Plipster opening up with a Coruscating Cityscape and is going to be uploading an Anku to pay for the Coruscating Cityscape's cost. I think Anku definitely makes sense as the hit of choice here. You're not going to be playing it till the late game anyways, and most of the time you don't even want to be hard casting it unless you can be sure of ending the game. Mostly just there as a pod target. But yeah, if Plipster does get to 6 mana, having the Anku is a reasonable threat to just hard cast it. And turn 2 has the Gene Shifted Warbler. And no hits, just going to be milling out 4 lands from the top of his library. Ouch. So Plipster's going to swing in with the Gene Shifted Warbler. And ooh, has the turn 3 Mercy. Seismic did side in the Essence Scattered though, so can stop that from resolving, that's really good. Because the value that Mercy provides is just insane. Like, if Plipster had curved that into a Lab Wrecker, it would have been lights out for Seismic. Still, if Seismic doesn't have another answer here, turn 4 Lab Wrecker will put the hurt on him. But it looks like Seismic did side in those Eradicator engines, gonna destroy the Gene Shifted Warbler. And yeah, if Plipster plays a Lab Wrecker here, has to destroy the Eradicator engine and not a land if he doesn't want his own Lab Wrecker to die. But it looks like Plipster does not have a Lab Wrecker, instead has one of those sideboard Blazing Offerings. He's able to kill the Eradicator engine. Doesn't have another 2-drop though, so he's just going to have to pass. The ball is in Seismic's court. If he can continue this trend of running out powerful must-answer threats, I think Plipster having to play reactively will be an issue. But Seismic missing a land drop and passing. All of Seismic's best threats are at 5 and 6 mana respectively. So yeah, I don't know what he's going to do. And now Plipster is going to run out the Lab Wrecker. Fortunately, Seismic does have the second Essence Scatter, so he's not going to get a resource denial here today. Perfect string of answers from both players here. It's really a question now about who will get to resolve the better threat. But again, Seismic not having an Essence Scatter for this Anku is a big can of worms. Does have a currency now to potentially let him hit 6 mana next turn. And if Seismic has Witch Kite in hand, it really doesn't matter what Plipster has next turn unless it's another Lab Wrecker. Seismic does have mana up for a 3rd Essence Scatter, though if he hit all 3, it'll be kind of a miracle. So Plipster's going to play a Switch Flit. I don't know that Plipster has another copy of Anku in his deck, and is going to download the Anku. Still can't hit it off the Switch Flit, I think. Let me check if he has more than one copy of Anku. It appears that he does have 2 copies of Anku, so can still hit an Anku off of the Switch Flit. It's just very unlikely. But anyways, Seismic is now at 6 mana because of this currency. Gonna crack 5 of it. Eon Overwatch. Gonna bounce the Switch Flit and present a 4-turn clock. And I guess for now doesn't have to worry about the hard cast Anku because Plipster is 2 mana off. But still, if Seismic doesn't have an answer in hand, I'd be kind of worried about this about the Anku. So instead of rerunning out the Switch Flit, Plipster's going to play Garden Grafter. Once again, uploading another Garden Grafter. And then he's going to crack the Sprawling Coils to hit a land. I don't know if this is, I guess it technically functions as card advantage because you can now download the Garden Grafter, blah, blah, blah. I don't know that Plipster has any answers to Eon Overwatch other than an Anku. So I feel like you would try to either high roll the Switch Flit by forcing Seismic from not attacking with this Eon Overwatch, or just going hard on ramping out or like trying to find lands to play Anku, which I guess is what Plipster's doing, but I still think that just playing Switchfoot and basically being like, hey, you can attack me with your Eon Overwatch, I will just attack you back with a Switchfoot, and I might just end the game on the spot. So I guess that's a little bit more random than the more consistent plan of just trying to hit lands. But now has a Shimmering Dune Kite. Yet another big beefy 5-mana threat. So he's going to swing in for a whopping 9 this turn and has a blocker up. So Seismic basically has another threat in hand, and a land, of course, then Plipster is dead next turn. Actually, could even be an Eon Overwatch. Okay, but Plipster's going to untap, hired hit the Shimmering Dune Kite, keeps him a little safer. Gonna uploaded the Switchfoot, but then played a land and downloaded it off of the Garden Grafter ability. He's gonna replay the Switchfoot and then pass. But yet, if Seismic has another Shimmering Dune Kite here, I think that would be the best possible scenario. Or like hard cast a Witch and copy Eon Overwatch. That's pretty good as well. Nope, but does have Shimmering Dune Kite number 2. So once again is gonna swing for 9. Threatens lethal next turn, and the Shimmering Dune Kite acts as a blocker for the Switchfoot. Does Plipster have... I don't think Plipster has any answers to this. Except for, once again, exactly Labwrecker plus a hired hit. If Plipster has the hired hit, can kill Shimmering Dune Kite, and then swing in with the Switchfoot and then try to hit a Labwrecker that way. So Plipster is going to play Digital Witness, uploading the hired hit engrave, can then download it, replay it, kill the Shimmering Dune Kite with the hired hit, and now swings in with the Switchfoot and the Garden Grafter. And if he hits a Labwrecker off of the Switchfoot, he stays alive. If he doesn't, Plipster loses this game. Feeling lucky, punk? And that's a Jabaya. And so Seismic wins 2-1 over Plipster and advances to the finals to play Safety Sock on 4-color Harmonize. And yeah, I guess just the explosive power of Seismic's deck just kind of overcame Plipster's resource denial. Like, I think naturally, like, you'd assume that Seismic's deck lines up poorly into Plipster's just because Plipster's has so much early resource denial, and Seismic's deck is all about reaching 5 or 6 mana. When Seismic switched to having those Essence Scatters as interaction, it really put Plipster off of his ability to like implement that resource denial. Yeah, I think that was a great sideboard adjustment from Seismic. But yeah, other than that, I'm excited to see how Seismic does in the finals versus Safety Sock. Until then, this is Caillou signing off for now.